Frank Dominus is at the docks, very frustrated that his cargo is delayed. A dock worker states that there's a delay because there's a cargo that, per orders, can't be unloaded until midnight. When he goes to question why that is, a beautiful blonde approaches him to let him know that it's her cargo and it needs special care. She introduces herself as Countess Erica Bolin. Frank, being a lot less angry now that he sees his issues are due to an attractive woman, invites the Countess back to the jazz club where her son is playing. Upon seeing Johnny, Erica seems to be smitten. After the band's set, they meet the Countess. She lets them know that she is hungry and volunteers the drummer Keith to take her out. Johnny wonders how she knew Keith's name. Later that night, the Countess and Keith park off a cliff and the two make out. She tells him he's about to feel better than he has in his entire life and appears to suck his blood. The next day, the car is found off a cliff and charred with the dead body of Keith in it. Johnny is crushed by the death of his friend and wants answers. They inform him that the body of the Countess was not found, so he's determined to find her and try to find out what happened to Keith. Johnny and the detective head to the docks to inspect the Countess's cargo. He touches one of the containers and has a vision of a coffin. When he asks his dad if they can open it, Frank tells him not to unless they want him to lose the account. That's when Johnny decides to suit up and do some sleuthing on his own. He heads to an abandoned church and finds an empty coffin. Later on, the feds show up to the docks with a warrant to open the containers. They open up the container that Johnny had the vision of, and they find the coffin. When they open it up, they find the body of a missing customs officer, and the feds tell Frank that he needs to get a lawyer. Back at the club, the Countess shows up and sees Johnny. He questions her about Keith, and she claims to not know anything about what happened to him, and is surprised to hear about Keith's death. Johnny has a vision, seeing that she is telling the truth, and that she's afraid of something or someone. The lieutenant takes her down to the police station and questions her, but gets nowhere. Frank then comes by and tells her about a 13th container, which gets her a bit flustered, and she takes off. The Countess hails a cab and takes off as Johnny follows her. She heads to a blood bank where she has an appointment to donate blood, while also posing for a leg fetish magazine at the same time. Once the nurse walks away, she breaks into the blood bank's computer system and copies their files to her PDA, then breaks into the bank's storage and takes several bags of blood, but is caught by Johnny on her way out. She tries to tell him about some blood stuff, but when he tries to grab her to see what's in the bag, she fangs out and blows him across the room, allowing her to run off and catch a cab to get away. Her next stop is to the church Johnny found earlier. It must have been a long trip as Johnny had time to change into his Nightman suit and follow her. She goes in very angry with a stake in her hand, threatening someone for killing the agent. Johnny shows up and asks what she is. That's when another vampire shows up and states how angry he is that they are in his space. Later, Frank is meeting with the other vampire, who we find out is the Count. Erica goes to Frank's and tries to convince him not to do business with the Count, but Frank sees it as a bidding war for his business and gets excited about it instead. The Count, desperate for Frank's business, offers Frank $10,000, which is enough to entice him to go and talk privately, while Erica tries to rat the Count out to the police. Frank takes the Count to Johnny's dressing room, where the Count attacks him. By the time the Countess, Johnny, and the detectives break down the door, the Count is gone and Frank is groggy and doesn't know what's going on. Johnny takes off looking for the Count and asks his sidekick Wally to make sure his dad doesn't go anywhere with Erica. He informs it's too late and the two left together in his truck. Frank and Erica have a conversation in his truck where Frank asks for answers and Erica is very vague, with her telling him that eventually the answers will be very clear. The two arrive in what seems to be a warehouse. Frank complains that he can't see, but she says it's okay because she can. Erica grills him about donating blood, and when she hints at the two becoming very close, Johnny laser visions Frank's flashlight and flies off with Erica. Erica tries to explain she wasn't going to kill Frank, and in order to get Johnny to let her go, bites him, making him very groggy. When he gets her down, she explains that she has no plans of hurting anyone, and she's the one trying to prevent the Count from killing Frank. Erica arrives back at the warehouse calling to Frank with no answer. She assumes he's dead. She explains to Johnny that she needed Keith and Frank's blood in order to become human again, and the Count wants them both dead so that can't happen as he's obsessed with keeping her as a vampire. They head back to the Count's chamber where she confronts him. He tries to force her to come to him, but his powers over her seem to be broken, so he instead attempts to bite her. Johnny shows up, and one slow-moving superpower-filled fight later, the Count bursts into flames and is no more. As the sun rises, Frank comes too. Johnny tells the Countess that she should bite Frank, but before it can happen, the sun rises ridiculously fast. She braces and screams, but does not burn. She realizes that means the two had the same DNA, so Nightman must be Johnny, which means her biting him made her human again. He asks her not to tell Frank about his night job, welcomes her back to being a human, and flies off. The Countess then smiles, happily no longer being a vampire. The Vampiress in this episode was played by sexy British actress Lysette Anthony. This would be a callback for her, as not only did she play Angelique in the short-lived 90s reboot of Dark Shadows, but her most high-profile role prior to this was as Lucy in the parody comedy Dracula Dead and Loving It, where she had a number of fang-out moments. Thanks for watching. If you like these recaps, please leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to know every time I update. There is now an option to be a channel member where you'll get access to exclusive recaps from late-night vampire catalogs like Showtime, Cinemax After Dark, USA Up All Night, and much more. If you want to help my channel grow, please check out my Patreon, where members can get exclusive content that can't be uploaded on YouTube, along with download options. Link is in the description.